My name is Emma Stewart.
So my name is Maritza Sanchez.
My name is Angeli Gore.
My name is Koesh Nassereddin, and my job title is high school French teacher.
I'm a student coach in a JK to grade 8 school in Toronto, and I work with children all the way across the grades, as well as teachers and families.
I work at Malvern Family Resource Centre as the youth manager.
And I'm the executive director at the Red Door Family Shelter.
This is my 4th year in this position. This is my 26th year as an educator.
I've been in the nonprofit sector for 40 years, so since 1989. So I've been in different social work roles, like I said, since 1989. And I started out in the front line, so I've been a community worker, a mental health counselor, a caseworker, etc., etc. And then about 17 years ago, I started my career more advancing towards management and became the executive director at another organization that I was working at for 14 years. And then I decided I was going to do mediation. Conflict resolution, so I opened up my own business and I was doing conflict resolution for about 8 months, and then I decided that I really missed working in my role as executive director. So I'm the executive director, and basically what that entails is overseeing the entire organization. I report to the board of directors, and my main job is to ensure that that the organization is meeting and achieving our mission and working towards our vision. Our mandate is to provide emergency housing to families that are experiencing homelessness, and also to women and children that are fleeing from domestic violence. Yeah, and so far I'm very happy working here at the Red Door in this role.
So I oversee a youth team of about 13 or 14 staff total. We've got 3 main pillars in the youth team. We have our sports and rec programming, which happens here at 90s in the gym primarily every single day after school. Then we've got our youth hubs. We oversee 3 youth hubs within the city. 2 of them are directly in Malvern, 1 is in Danzig. We've got our mental health team who offer, so there's 2 full-time mental health counselors and 2 youth outreach workers. They offer free services for youth ages 12 to 29. So my job is essentially to make sure all of that is running smoothly.
Picture it as like your personal cheerleader. So I'm sitting on your shoulder all day long with my pom-poms ready to go, and when things aren't feeling so great, which is usually when we need the help, students can select to come and see me, or they can be like identified by the family or the teachers to come and see me. And we are looking at, like, what is the feeling? What's getting in the way of? Where do we need to be? And let's play around with some strategies to get back to the learning. The whole idea of that is like how to empower the person with how much control and capabilities they have, no matter the age.
Working in a high school as a French teacher means that my job is to teach French. But that's not really what I do all the time on a daily basis. I always wanted to be a teacher since I can remember wanting a job. I was always thinking to myself, I am going to teach. Now, French came way later, but it was always about trying to make an impact, trying to do something positive. For me, working in an office or having a job, in a store or anything, it is service, but I didn't see it as life-changing service. When you work with young adults, you are at the root of what can literally sometimes make or break their, the way. And it's not in the idea where I want to model, I want to steer people. I just want people to be less, I want the kids and the adults of tomorrow to be less cocooned in this, like, you know, in this kind of echo chamber that they have. And for me, it was always about, what can I do to make the place I live better? What can I do to make people around me better?
I actually didn't know I wanted to go into the social work field.
I graduated university with a degree in Spanish. I didn't know how I was going to use it, but boy, was that cool. And all the way from high school all the way through, I had been a camp counselor. And that was like, I could teach kids in a freezing cold lake, or at the archery range, or on the trampoline, or on the high roads course.
And teaching seemed to be the right job, because
being a part of and watching somebody's aha moment is a selfish gift. And I think that there was this desire, and there still is this desire, to like be a part of somebody's story and to showcase back to them their intrinsic awesomeness.
I think sometimes I am a good enough messenger for the simplest thing, such as, it's not such a big deal, or this is actually a big deal. And we should care not because of the outcome or not, but because of, okay, we can actually transform something that might be meaningless for you, but maybe it is meaningful for someone. So for me to be this kind of bridge, this bridge between people who are, I don't want to say uncultured, but because it comes with a lot of things, but people who just don't know and don't know how to act and how to react, and, you know, people who can actually be the decider of tomorrow, helping them, you know, just rationalize things, understand that there's not just one perspective. I think, yeah, that was always something that I wanted to do.
In high school, I was so sure I wanted to be a lawyer, like a criminal defense lawyer in particular. I think maybe just from shows that I was seeing on TV, that was really calling me. So in grade 10, I had the opportunity to take a law class in my high school. There we had a criminal defense lawyer actually come in as a guest speaker. I took his card, I told him, this is what I want to do. I'm so sure of it, I want to be a lawyer. So he let me intern with him actually over the summer. Through my conversations with him though, I asked him why a lot of his clients are returning clients. So I'm like, you're a criminal defense lawyer. If someone committed a crime, why do they keep coming back to you? Why do they keep committing crimes? And he told me a little bit more about the justice system and how, unfortunately for some people, when they go into jail, they actually have all of their needs met in jail. They've got food, shelter, sports and rec, education. Oftentimes they'll get jobs in jail too. And while it's still not an ideal situation for them to be in, oftentimes when they already have a record, it's still a better place for them to be in. Because when they come out, there's such few resources out there for them to assimilate back into society. So I kind of said, okay, I think my new goal, now that I know I don't want to be a lawyer, my new goal is to get you out of a job. I want to go into that field of the community development work and make sure that there are resources out there for people who are struggling so that they don't feel like they need to commit crimes to get thrown into jail just to have the bare basics needed to survive.
I have a little bit of an interesting story. When I was about 12 years old, I decided to help a friend who was younger than me to run away from home because she was experiencing a lot of abuse at home. And at that time, I had just learned how to drive, believe it or not, but I was driving at that young age. And I decided that I was going to help her by stealing a car. And then we were going to travel to Vancouver. I was living in Calgary at the time. Okay. So the plan was to go to Vancouver, where we would settle ourselves in a new home. And then I was going to go back home. So I was going to just support her to make that transition. And anyway, so I did end up stealing a car. We drove, we were on our way to Vancouver and got stopped because we ran out of gas. A trucker picked us up, took us to a gas station, and called the RCMP on us. So our trip was short-lived. The RCMP took us to a runaway home that they had in Banff. And then from there, I had to deal with a social worker. who actually put me on probation. Actually, I had to go to court and etc., and then I was placed on probation. So I met my probation officer, and she changed my life. She had such an amazing and positive impact on the way I view the world, and right then and there, I realized that I wanted to be a social worker, and that's what I wanted to do.
I am in the role that I so desperately needed as a student. Mm-hmm. So I think I have evolved intentionally or unconsciously, I'm not really sure, into the grown-up that I needed to have.
I always wanted to be helpful in a way for our society, and I was fortunate enough to be put in a situation where I could make differences for my peers, and now I'm thinking for the young adults.
My name's Anne. My club is Hearts and Hugs, and I'm the founder and current president. Hearts and Hugs is a crochet for a charity student organization that I founded in 2024. So our mission really is based on, there's kind of two missions. So the first one is to, of course, crochet donatable items and then donate those to our local communities as well as national organizations that are nonprofit. And the other mission that I'm really focused on is also building a community here at U of T, just getting students to know how to crochet, but also for a meaningful cause.
Mm-hmm. For those of you who have returned for our second volunteer appreciation event, thank you for coming and making the time. And for those of you who are your first time here joining us, we hope to see you again in future years. For those of you who don't know, this whole week in Canada is National Volunteer Week. So this is our chance here at Food for Kids Toronto to thank you for the time you give, your talents, also any donations, financial donations, food donations. We couldn't put on our mission, and we couldn't do this for the 215 students and also the communities that we share this with without your help. So thank you. A big round of applause to all of you.
We provide nutritious bags of food for children suffering from severe food insecurity each and every weekend during the school year. So we're typically Friday afternoon would be an exciting time for most of us, going home from work, going home from school for the weekend. But for those who are suffering from food insecurity, they may not have a meal at home waiting for them until they return to school on Monday. And so that's what we do. We make sure that whenever they're away from school, they've got 3 meals. We love that children and families are encouraged to come. So we have many family pack days as much as possible. I'm glad that the families are able to enjoy the way they do.
Ever since I was little, I've always been trying to get involved in a lot of nonprofit works and humanitarian missions. So I thought, this is something I've always wanted to do, is to start something of my own. And since I have this crochet thing that I know how to do, and I saw that there wasn't really anything like that on campus, I thought that I could combine that with a charity aspect. So donating the stuff that we make to local communities and anybody that might be able to use them. I remember the first workshop that we've held, I thought that nobody would show up. I remember we held it was just me and my best friend, who thought that you're crazy to think that nobody's gonna show up. I know people are gonna show, and even if they don't, what's the issue? So I came in with low expectations. I thought nobody would show. We held it at a student-run cafe on campus. Again, expecting maybe 2 or 3, a small group, but within 15 minutes, I want to say, we had to close doors because too many people showed up, and it was, high. We were exceeding the capacity for the room, so we had to close it. And I remember just making sure that people know what we're doing, because I was like, maybe they're in the wrong room. So I remember announcing to them, you guys know we're crocheting breast prosthesis, and everybody was like, yeah, we'd love to. I think it's great that we have this event going on here on campus. That's the big goal, the big mission. I'm trying to connect, or I'm trying to see if people would be interested in contributing to a meaningful cause, to charity, to donate something. And I think, again, aside from the products, the physical products that we've made, I think what really touches me is the fact that people are willing to contribute their time.
The 43 divisional officers will meet us at the schools, help us bring all of the food supplies inside, empty the bins and come out. The greatest experience that I've had with that is watching the children often come up to the big, huge police officers like with this huge gasp of, "What are you doing here?" And it's wonderful to see them share a sticker, get a selfie, let them know that they're here to help feed kids. So it's a wonderful community thing.
After I learned about the depth and breadth of the youth mental health crisis, that's when I decided to get involved. My name is Robert Bracey. I work for Team Unbreakable. I'm the executive director for it. Team Unbreakable is a charity, first of all, and it helps volunteers across the province administer, run, learn to run programs. But the learn to run programs have two elements. One is physical and one is mental health. So the idea is to provide our volunteers with whatever they need to start up their own running group in their own community. That's what we do.
My name is Colette Halpety. I'm currently working with Moorelands Kids. I've been working with them for 4 years. However, I've been working in the charitable sector for over 30 years. I would say that the driving force behind that is, for me, it's not just about the paycheck. It's about having some meaningful work that I feel that I'm actually aligning something with my values and with my personal beliefs to try and make a better world for other people and try to make a difference by whatever role I happen to partake in.
Do you feel like the work you do is important?
I think it is extremely important.
I definitely do. I don't know on a systemic level and on a grander scheme how much of an importance or how much of a change we're making necessarily, but definitely in this community, I would say that I've personally seen a lot of youth that I work with who have openly said, I don't know if I ever would have been able to go to college or university if it wasn't for the work that you guys do. A lot of youth have also told us, I was really going down the path that my friends have gone through who are now dead. And I thought that I was for sure going to end up like one of them one day. But now I'm actually done school. I'm working full time and I've been able to get scholarships to go to school, which again, they didn't think was possible. And so we've definitely seen the impact on an individual level.
I think it's so important. I mean, I've been very fortunate to see the impact in the last 40 years, especially in when I was working more in direct service roles, directly with clients.
It's very important. If there were not people who choose to work in the charitable sector, there would be a huge gap in society, in social services, in supports for, I would say, the most vulnerable and marginalized in the communities.
Do you feel like the work you do is important?
Most days. Most days, yeah. And I think that in the times when I don't feel it or I forget it, it's showcased back to me by, a kiddo coming up to me and telling me I made it through recess and I didn't get mad at my friends, or I was really nervous about the math test and it's finished and I actually did really well. It's those are the things that I take when I forget that it is super impactful.
I learned so much, from the various clients that I worked with. I worked with clients from different walks of life, different races, religions, just very diverse. Mm-hmm. So I've always learned something from them as well. I think it's a two-way street.
I really value the mutuality of these relationships, and I see the benefits that people reap themselves when they choose to be in a profession, whether it's nursing, teaching, or in a charity, on the ground with the different demographics they're working with and trying to serve.
We've learned a ton from both our participants and our volunteers. But for example, the name Team Unbreakable came about through an interview we did with one of our participants. One of our participants said, when I'm doing this thing, I feel like I'm on a team and I feel like I'm unbreakable. We said, right on. That's what this organization is. It's Team Unbreakable.
Using real life stories and examples just really shows the impact of that a lot more. And yeah, I think it's such important work.
I think the word helper can mean a lot of things.
I think that it's partnering.
The helping role has to be one where you are walking hand in hand with the client and not ahead of the client. So I think that's really important. And more than anything, you're helping them to find their own strengths.
We help others do their work.
Clearly, the expectations of the high school teacher is to support for the material. But there is always this underlying situation that these kids are in your care for the whole year. I see these kids sometimes more than they see their parents. And I don't think this is me exaggerating. Do they count on me? I don't know. But do they know, for the most part, that I am here should they need it? Yeah, I think they see it.
I will always gauge on how much is the person in front of me able to exercise control over, come up with, like take ownership of. And so helping is like, I'm on this journey with you. You are not alone. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is kind of like, it's empathy, right?
Yeah.
Like I can make space for what you're feeling and I don't have to step into it with you. But you can keep throwing the Lego.
Do you find that the work you do ever takes a toll on you?
I definitely think it does. We try to preach here, of having work-life balance, don't take your work home, it's okay to disconnect. And I think that's a lot easier said than done.
My job never ends.
I remember as like being like a teacher, mm-hmm. I would hold students' stories so closely, so much concern, so much, like there was like a part of me that was like aching, and it was really hard to separate from my home life.
When I come home after work, I'm not done at 4 p.m. We have a policy, like in the school I work, where, we have a time to disconnect. I cannot not answer an email sent by a student who has had school, after school went to a practice, then went to dinner, and then went to another practice, and went home. It is 11:30 for them, and they have a question about something we saw in class, and they are not sure. I cannot not answer. In good conscience, if I am awake, I have to answer them. Am I always available for them? I'm trying to be. Is it draining? Yes. Does it create a situation where marking, thinking about lesson, thinking about issues and how to solve their personal issues in class? Because I can't have a chaotic class. I need to deal with this. If there is two students who hate each other and needs a resolution and can't find it, I cannot continue a class where I see this situation unresolved. I have to solve it so we can move past it and actually get to the French. We can't get to the French if we are in a situation where everybody hates each other. So, is it draining? Yes, I feel like I'm managing my emotions and the emotions of 20 kids, and then changing new set of kids, but then remembering that during lunchtime, I have that 2 sets of kids that I had for the period 1 and 2 that comes to me because they have their own issues.
I don't know. I think it's hard to disconnect when it comes to community because your direct work is people. And I think that you can't fully ever disconnect like that. You know what I mean?
I think the biggest burned out feelings that I experienced was when I was working as a mental health counselor, and I was counseling women that had been physically or sexually abused, and I was providing counseling to 8 to 10 women a day. And by the 3rd year, I noticed that my shoulder was just hurting so much. It's like I was almost carrying everything in one shoulder, and I was like this all the time. So I realized that I needed to do something different because it's not long lasting to be in that role and hearing so many negative stories all the time.
I don't know how people could be in the helping profession and like maintain their ability to be like authentic and like truly present if you're constantly carrying everybody else's load.
Like I want to be proactive. I don't want to get to a place where I'm so burned out that I can't help people, right?
So yeah, do I feel like I am an emotional dumping yard sometimes? Yes. Do I have to sort this out? That's the expectations, yes.
I think the hardest part about this job, because a lot of people want to go into this work to help people. The hardest part of this job is when you meet people that you just can't help. They might even come to you for help, but if they're not ready to take the steps, there's nothing you can do. And I think that's a little bit of the hardest part. Like, I've learned a lot about control in this field, and I've learned a lot about, you know, stressing about what it is that I can control versus trying to let go of that stress of things that I can't. And that goes back into the self-care piece as well, right? Like, at the end of the day, people have autonomy and it's their lives. They're going to choose what it is that they're going to do. Our job is to give them all of the choices that are there, even the bad ones. Go through what that means. You know, if you choose these options, these are the possible outcomes of that. If they still choose to go down that path, you can't really stop them from doing that, unfortunately. And so, yeah, like, just know that if you get into this field, as much as you want to help people, there are definitely going to be times where you just can't. And that's unfortunately the reality of it. But again, it goes back to having that proper self-care routine, having those people that you could talk to, and just making sure that you're able to take care of yourself, so that when you do come across the next person who is wanting that support and is ready to take those steps, then you're able to help them properly.
If you had one piece of advice for someone looking to go into this field, what would it be?
Okay. I think you need to know yourself.
People get into social work for a whole slew of reasons, and I think one of those possible reasons is that something happened to you that made you get into this role. And while that's admirable and very powerful, I will say that you now almost have to work extra hard to manage your triggers and biases and all of that stuff to do the work properly.
I think you need to really understand what your pressure points are so that you can recognize when you are in a situation and you are becoming activated. Because if you are activated, you're not helping anymore.
And we need, you know, social workers that are passionate about their work, but also that they themselves have healed from whatever trauma or issues they might have experienced. Because unfortunately, that's one of the things I have found, that if people go into the field because they identify so strongly with people that are experiencing trauma and so forth, that it's really easy for them to get triggered if they haven't totally healed themselves. So that's the other thing I would say, is that take the time to do your own work before you go out and work with people, because otherwise you're going to find that it's even going to be more challenging. Yeah, for sure.
Theory and application are two very different things.
Sometimes we might think this is what we want to do. So if you are going to enter into the social work career, I would always say volunteer. Go out in the community, do a bit of volunteer work before you entertain, you know, a 4-year, 6-year career where you're going to be paying lots of money.
Yes.
And then finding out that maybe this is not for you, right? Because it's not for everybody. So definitely, I think volunteering helps to give you an idea. And if you can do that in different areas, I think that could be really, really helpful.
Overcoming the self-doubt and thinking that it's a bad idea, it's a crazy idea.
We can't work by ourselves.
I remember that first workshop, I think if it wasn't for my friends who really supported me and believed in me and told me that it doesn't matter if nobody shows up, I knew that they would show up, first of all, and I knew that this is something good that I was trying to accomplish. And I think that was enough for me, is the fact that I'm trying and the fact that I believe in my mission.
Everything we do has a benefit. You got to pick the ones that have the biggest benefit.
Kids are just kids. They make poor choices. They say things sometimes that are outrageous, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, if we are in this to help them, it is to help them.
It's just a human being. Have a human conversation with them. Sometimes you're gonna mess up too, and that's okay.
If you made an error in good conscience, and if you tried your best, just move on. There will be another opportunity, and these are intelligent. They're intelligent. These are intelligent. Like, this is an intelligent public. They're not as ridiculous and as outrageous sometimes as we think they are. I mean, kids, it's, you know, at the end of the day, they just also want what's best for them.
Working with the individual so that you can both get to a place where you're basically helping each other, essentially, which is a really beautiful thing.
Thank you so much.
You're so
I
welcome.
appreciate you taking the time to meet and talk about what you do.
I'm grateful to be asked. This is, I don't know if enough people talk about what it is.
Everyone in this room has given their time, their energy, and their hearts to this mission, often behind the scenes, without recognition, simply because they believe in making a difference. I must say, I have constantly been impressed, inspired by the leadership, the integrity, and the generosity. Never in my life could I have imagined that I would see and hear from so many like-minded, generous, giving people, and I couldn't be more grateful to be a part of it. So thank you, everyone.
You're good?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you very much. I really
Pleasure.
appreciate it.